All right, so it looks like we will get started. So my name is Evelyn Diaz. I'm the City of Commerce Reed Center Literacy Program Manager, and I have with me a handful of college students to talk to you a little bit about their experiences, to do a little Q&A with them. So I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves. So first up, Janet.
Hello, everybody. My name is Janet Yanez, and I am a fifth-year doctoral student in clinical psychology at the California School of Professional Psychology in Los Angeles.
Thank you. And Kevin?
Hi, I'm Kevin. I'm a biopsych major with an English minor at Wagner College in New York.
Nice. And then Nayeli.
Hi, I'm Nayeli Cisneros. I'm a second year at Cerritos College, and I'm a biology major with a concentration in microbiology.
Thank you. Nadia?
Hi, I'm Nadia. I'm a third year at Cal Poly Pomona. My major's in communications with an emphasis in multimedia journalism.
Nice. And Luis?
Hi, I'm a second year computer science student at UCLA.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for being here. So as I mentioned earlier, we're just going to go through a couple of Q&As to kind of give everybody a better insight of what college has been like for you all, tips and tricks of what you all would tell others to possibly do that maybe you wish you would have had prior to coming in. So I think one of the first things I want to ask, which is like probably one of the first things that you do right when you start thinking about college, is how many schools do I apply to? So if you can talk a little bit about how many schools you applied to or why you chose to apply to certain schools, but I'll go ahead and let you all take the floor. You all can answer as you please.
I guess I could go first. So I applied to I think around 12 or 14 schools. I don't exactly remember, but the way I kind of organized the schools was schools that I was pretty certain I was going to get in, schools that I knew were at my level, and schools like above my level. So I kind of try to do 3 to 4 each category. Yeah.
Nice.
I'll go next. Well, the way I picked my school, through my high school, actually, there was a free waiver that you could have gotten. And 4 were for the CSUs and the UCs. So that's mostly how I went through it. And I knew I wanted to go in California. And from there, I picked like what UCs fit me best and what major I wanted. So that's how I picked them.
Cool. And touching on majors, I know you all identified a major. I know sometimes you go in and you don't know what you're going to major in, but can you tell me a little bit about what, like how you picked your major?
I chose biology just because I knew that I wanted to choose a medical career path, and biology is just something that's very broad and you really can do a lot with biology. So I figured that was the easiest, or not easiest, but like, yeah, easiest way to go, I think.
Nice.
I chose biopsychology because I also want to take the medical pathway and become a psychiatrist, but I didn't want to focus too heavy on like the sciences because I've always been more of like humanities, like psychology, like English. Those have been my strong suits. So I just kind of took both of them, and they offered a biopsychology major here at Wagner, so I took the opportunity.
Nice.
I can add to that a little bit if that's okay, because I think it's a perfect parallel. So then I'm in clinical psychology, and so for me, I loved the science behind psychology, but I also felt like I wanted a career where I can actually see patients, see them for therapy, and kind of have more of that person interaction and really helping people heal. And so that's part of the reason why I was really interested in the clinical psychology piece.
Nice. Great. Well, I'm glad that you all have found, something you're really interested in and that you're able to follow that path. That's amazing. But speaking of college and classes and what to pick and all that, let's talk a little bit about classes. how did you guys go about picking your classes? Did somebody set a schedule for you? Are you in school Monday through Friday, 8 to 3? Can you tell me a little bit about what that looks like?
I'll go. So my first, I'm a third year, so the first 2 years of college, I had, I was under a sociology major and I had no idea. I knew I didn't want to go with that. It kind of like goes into a career that I'm not into. So I kind of took some, like, I think one introduction to sociology just to see if like, oh, maybe I'm wrong, maybe this is the major for me. And I was like, nope. So for the 2 years, I was just trying to figure out what major I should do because the problem with me is I like everything, but I know what I don't like. So it was kind of hard figuring out what I wanted to do. So for 2 years, I just focused on my general eds. I'm an EOP, so my advisor kind of guided me. She said, I mean, it's okay not to know. I don't have to switch it right now. But it's good to like venture out there to all the different classes. So those GEs helped me figure out what I wanted.
I can add a little bit to that. So I also went to community college. I ended up transferring from Long Beach City College to UC Santa Barbara. And starting off in community college, I felt very overwhelmed with how to develop my own classes and what classes I should and should not be taking. So I was also very blessed, like Nadia, where I was in EOP. And so I met with the EOP counselor on a regular basis. And then I also saw my regular counselor at the community college. So I would compare the information that they were giving me to see if there was any conflict or any differences so that I could be very efficient in understanding what classes I needed to take in order to finish and transfer out of the community college level as quickly as I could, because I realized that a lot of my other friends who were in community college were getting stuck and were there, they were there for like 4 or 5 years sometimes. And so I really wanted to make sure that that didn't happen with me. I wanted to transfer out as quickly as I could. So I asked around to a lot of people to just make sure that whatever information I was getting was accurate. And also, if you have an idea of what you want to major in the community college level, then that also helps you to prepare to get some of those prerequisites done. So when you transfer, you're at the level where you need so that you can graduate within 2 years.
Yeah, that's good advice, I think, because I think a lot of times students that go to any level of college are just like, I'm going to take all the art classes, and it's like, well, that's not going to get you to graduate. You have to take certain classes, right? So
Exactly.
that's a really good tip. That's a really
and
good tip.
and one last thing I want to say is that, don't get so stuck on trying to get an AA. You don't need to get an AA to like transfer or go on and actually get your bachelor's. I think sometimes people get misinformation about that. It's a personal choice. If you want it, great, but just know that it's not a requirement to transfer if that's something that, is a thought or an idea that you have.
Yeah, good. So my next question is talking about classes is, how are you successful in a class? How do you pass a class? Like, are there things that you should be doing, aside from like studying, but maybe talking to a professor, or what if you're shy? Can you tell me a little bit about some of the things that you were able to do to make sure that you're successful for a class?
I think that classes at the college level are a lot different because it's a lot of, you have to hold yourself accountable. Like your teachers aren't going to be pushing you to remind you like when due dates are. So you really have to be on top of everything yourself and just be responsible, and if you need help, then like nothing's wrong with asking for help because there's so many resources at school that people don't know about. But if you look into them, then there's people out there that will help you.
Good. Anybody else want to add any other tip that you may have done to make sure that you are successful in a class?
I guess I could add. So being at a UC, the classes are generally really big. So probably like 100 to 200 students, depending on the class. Some could be smaller. So a lot of times it's difficult I mean, you can't talk to the professor. The professor has office hours that you can go to, but a lot of times they'll want you to go to the TA first. Yeah. So going to them first usually is very beneficial just because the TAs probably have 20 to 30 students. So you probably get more attention in that situation.
Good.
I would also add that it's really good if you could go to the office hours with the TAs or with the professors, because you know, I know that it might be very early right now, but if you're thinking about going to graduate school, or if you're thinking about getting a job afterwards, if you're building those relationships with the TAs or the professors, those could be people that can actually write letters of recommendation, because you've actually been building those relationships with them when you're meeting during their office hours. So also think about that as a bonus in terms of being able to like make those connections with them early on.
That's really good point. Thank you for bringing that up. So now that we're talking about, you know, being on campus and the classes, can you all tell me a little bit about the resources that are on campus, maybe things that you've used or you know that people have used, whether it's the library, the gym, tutoring, the writing center? Can you all tell me a little bit about those resources?
Well, the type of resources that I've gotten or looked for are kind of like not the normal ones like library or things like that. It's mostly things that Cal Poly offers is like counseling, like you can talk to a therapist, things like that. And they're like, it was like the best experience having to be able to talk to someone, and especially since they're in like they deal with college students like me, and a lot of they like normalize my feelings, like it's okay to be like stressed or worried. So that definitely helped me in my senior year. And also just like health, like obviously I can't speak for everyone, but like my school, they have um like health fees, and they have like their own clinic where you can actually get medication even if you have insurance. It's like a lot cheaper to get it from school. And I always thought, I never knew that about college, and I figured out myself, so I think that was super helpful.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I think I remember I was sick once and I was at Long Beach and I went and my medication was like $2. You know? Yeah, compared to having to even buy like NyQuil's expensive, you know? So being able to take like advantage of those resources, that's fantastic. And thank you for bringing up, you know, the non traditional or the ones that we think about resources. But does anybody have any other resources that they've you know, been able to take advantage of from being on campus?
Yeah. So just like as simple as talking to like your advisors, taking advantage of that and like having them actually help you with your classes and helping you figure out what you need to do to get to your own personal goal. And then on top of that, just like the different clubs they have around campus, like have other students help you. You guys are all in the same boat. Just it's all along the same lines of just being there for each other. Notice that you guys are in the same classes, so maybe you guys should just come get together, study, or start a club for a certain topic.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good one too. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about, you know, classes, how to be successful. We've talked about, you know, resources on campus. And I know, Nadia, you touched on stress, right? I think like that's one of the precursors of being a student. And I think a lot of that has sometimes to do with time management. So if you know, if a few of you can tell me a little bit about, you know, how, because a lot of us don't get to just be students, right? We have to work. Sometimes we do internships. We have to come home and take care of somebody or something, and we have to do something else. So how is it that you all manage to do everything that you're doing and still be a successful student?
I feel like knowing what you can handle is very important, because a lot of students just going into it, I feel like sometimes maybe they overwhelm themselves thinking they can do so many things, but it's very important to like understand yourself and know what you have to do today, what you are going to have to do tomorrow and everything, so that you're organized and you're not stressing, basically what Nadia was saying, because you can get very stressed if you're overwhelming yourself. But if you have a plan and you're organized and are able to maintain everything like together, then I feel like that really helps you a lot too.
I definitely think that that's a very good answer in terms of organizations. Is there anything in particular that you use to maintain organized, or do you just know like, hey, Friday I have this, Tuesday I have that? Is there any tools that you use to stay organized or to be organized?
I have a planner. Oh, sorry.
No, you see, go for it.
I have a planner that I try to at least once a week fill out, and also I'm very big on post-its. So like I have post-its right here where I can see them just in case, like if something comes up and I'm like, oh, I need to do this, then I write it on a post-it so that I hold myself accountable for like the things that I have to do.
Yeah, what just Nayeli was saying, I just went to Target and got this big stack of post-its, so things like that. I also like, this is my desk area, and I have like this whiteboard thing. And even though like I'm pretty good at like remembering, I don't leave it up to chance. So I definitely just write down like most important things. I check the syllabus to see like the big things that are due this month, and just take it like little by little.
Something else I'd like to add is like if I sometimes the night before, right before I go to bed, I try to sit down with my post-its and try to just fill out what do I have to do tomorrow. That way the next day I'm not just sitting around doing nothing, because I feel like especially right now when we have to stay home and everything, it's really easy to just sit around not do anything. But if you like write it down and you're aware of what you have to do, then I feel like it's easier to be like, okay, I'm gonna get up and actually do it.
That's good.
Also,
Mhm.
sorry, yeah. So I've, for people who like aren't like, because planners, I've tried planners and I don't know why I just can't get them. So if that doesn't work, I found Google Calendars just work really well for me. Just it's all electronic, so it's like better. Like it's on your phone, so you're good. Just put something in and you're done. And also just having like a to-do list. Just wake up, or like at the start of every week, just a to-do list. Get the check marks done. Like at least you did that.
Yeah. And I will add to that, I think these things that you all are doing, whether it's creating a to-do list, whether it's on your phone or on a planner on paper, I think those things follow you into adulthood. And I can attest to it. I have a passion planner. I've had one for years, and like it's my livelihood. And I just think, like as an adult, like you still use these techniques or these tactics. I have post-its everywhere. So I really do appreciate you all being candid. And then Kevin, you were bringing the good point. Like sometimes you're just not good at like having to write things down, but you know what? There's other ways of doing it. So I definitely appreciate you bringing that point up. So the other thing I want to talk about is finances, right? And in college, how did you all pay for college? I think one of the big clouds that ends up hanging over a lot of students' heads are, my parents don't have the money for me to just go to college and pay, you know, anywhere from 10,000 and up a year. So can you tell us a little bit about how you all paid for college? Yeah.
I can start. So I went, like I said, I went to community college, and so I actually worked full time, like in all stages of school. So I worked full time when I was in community college, when I was in undergrad, and then when I was in graduate school. And so being in community college helped me save a lot of money. So when I did transfer to UC, I didn't have that much of a financial burden because I had saved some of the money from working full time. But also know that there are a lot of grants and a lot of scholarships that you can apply to. So it's always good to kind of be on the lookout and look online. There's a lot of like organizations like the Ford Foundation. There's also the Bill Gates Foundation. There's also, I think, the Hispanic Caucus. And so there's a lot of groups out there. So it's a matter of being able to find like websites where you can look through scholarships, especially if you're a person of color or minority student. There's a lot of money out there. And just pick and choose which ones you want to apply for if you need to do your own funding. Just because there is a lot out there, it could be a little overwhelming, but I think it's just important to keep an eye out. If you ever hear about a scholarship, even if it's through your school, it doesn't hurt to apply. Worst thing what will happen is that you won't get it, but also if you don't apply, you'll never know if you qualify. So I always tell people to apply. And so I've been very fortunate to have a lot of fellowships that have helped me fund my school. And so I just encourage everybody, apply and put yourself out there, because not only will you get some money, but you can even put that on your CV in the future. So it's always good to just put yourself out there. Yeah.
Nice.
I guess I could add on top of that. So, like you said, applying to the extra scholarships and everything, but also a big thing to meet your finances is keep track of deadlines. Deadlines is a big issue, especially for me. Like I've missed scholarships because of that. But probably the biggest deadlines are for your FAFSA, making sure that you take advantage of that money coming, free money from there. Um, but in my specific circumstance, a lot of it was covered just off of grants that I received, like from California, the government, and then just applying for different scholarships, like you said. But a big part of that is just staying motivated to apply to those and meeting the deadlines.
Someone once said to me that applying for scholarships should be like a part-time job, right? Because it's not just it's like sometimes it's finding them. Does it match? Or do you qualify for it? Are you going to be able to get those letters of rec, right? Do your professors know you well enough to get these letters of rec to you? I like that when as soon as he said FAFSA, we're like, yup, you have to apply for FAFSA. Starts October 1st, then the deadline's March 2nd. That's always been it. That's always how it's going to be, right? So that's good. Yeah, so thank you for answering those questions. So the next question that I have, I just kind of want to know about your experiences, whether you've lived on campus, whether you've lived at home. Some of you all are in Miami and New York, and some of you are here local in Commerce. If you can tell me a little bit about, when you started school, if you left, if you stayed, and what that experience was like for you.
So right out of high school, I attended a four-year university for my first semester, and I really loved it. I loved the dorm life. I loved that I was able to grow by myself without my family. So that really helped me. But also, I wanted to touch back on the community college because now I am attending community college, and I feel like a big mistake a lot of students make is thinking that, oh, if I go to community college, it's not the same, it's different. But honestly, I've saved so much money. Like, I look back at when I was at the 4 year, and I feel like, oh my God, I was always like checking my bank account. Am I gonna have enough money for this? But now that I'm saving so much money here at community college, I feel a lot more secure and just like less stressed also, like, and I'm able to take more classes. I feel I've taken so many classes over the summer, and I'm taking so many classes right now. So I feel like I really appreciate the opportunity that I was able to take going out to a 4 year because it helped me grow a lot as a person and helped me mature. But coming back, at first I was very upset about it, obviously, but now I feel so much better because, like I said, I'm saving so much more money. So that's really helped me a lot.
Nice. Thank you.
Well, for me, oh, sorry. For me, I never knew if I wanted my family's like my rock. Like, without them, like, I don't know what I'll do. But I mean, I always felt the pressure of like, oh, I have to move out for college. And honestly, I was fortunate enough to be part of a program where it allowed me to like stay on campus during the summer. And it was before school too. And it confirmed my fears that I don't like public restrooms. Like, I hate that. So I was lucky enough to like try it, test it, put my feet on the water, and like realize like I made a good decision staying at home. But yeah, not a lot of people have that resource. But I mean, I feel like there shouldn't be like a pressure to like go. But I mean, it's different for everyone.
So I love my family, but I've always been the type of person to wanting to go out and like explore, and like I'm glad I got the opportunity to like I've got to see things because of like Commerce, like the water polo team. They just opened up like so many doors for me, and it's just good. Like if you want to take that step into your life where you want to just see everything, it's like now or never. That's in my opinion. It's like just do things before you say like I wish I did it.
I would add to that. I ended up moving out to Santa Barbara, and I did not live on campus, but I did live off of campus. And just moving away from home really changed my worldview and kind of how life could be like when you are in a community, like in a college environment. But I think it's also, I encourage people to move out sometimes because you grow in ways that you never think you'd grow, and your family also grows in ways that they think that they would never grow. And so even for my sister, who's like 4 years younger than me, when she went to UCLA, I was like, I know it's not far, but I want you to go and live in the dorms and try it for a year and see how you like it. And then she ended up just living in Westwood since then and then moved back. But I always encourage people, if they have that opportunity, even if it's for undergrad or even if it's just for a few years, to just try it. But I also agree with Nadia that, you know, family is such a big part of our support system. And so whatever works for you to get you through, there's really no right or wrong answer. It's just what areas do you want to grow in and what do you need in the moment to succeed in school?
Yeah. Good. And I think you know, you all touched on, Nayeli, I know you touched on it earlier with something else, and you were saying you have to know who you are and what you need. And I think this goes for this topic as well, right? I think a lot of times the culture of going to college is like, we're leaving, I'm leaving my family. But it's not necessary, it doesn't necessarily ring true, especially for folks from our community. Like, we are very close to our family, but I do think that Kevin is right in that sense that, like, if not now, when? Like, now is this time that you're branching out, but for these good reasons, right? You're not leaving your family because you don't like them, you don't want to be with them. It's because you're branching out as you know, as an adult. So yeah. So thank you. But you know, with that said, and kind of like with that twist in it, you know, some of you have lived at home, some of you left, some of you are closer, some of you are farther. But can you tell me a little bit about, you know, if you're living at home, what does that mean? Like, are you on campus a lot? Are you not on campus a lot? Even for those of you that are living close to your campus, are you on campus a lot? Are you not? What does that kind of look like?
Well, right before Corona happened and everything, I'm going to Cerritos, and I spent a lot of time on campus just because I play water polo at Cerritos, so I would have to go early at 6 in the morning for practice, and then after practice, rush to my class, and then in between classes, just stay on campus in the cafeteria, kind of just because, like, sometimes you have a class in 2 hours and it kind of doesn't make sense to go back home. You might as well just stay there. So yeah, I spent a lot of time on campus, and then I would just go home after everything. And sometimes I would have afternoon practices. So it's really just up to your own schedule.
Anybody else have any experience that's either similar or different than Nayeli's?
But one thing I can say, when I wasn't at Cerritos and I was at the 4 year there, it's very different because just wake up, go to class, and then since the classes really weren't that far sometimes from the dorming where I was dorming, then I was able to go back to my room, maybe take a nap or I don't know, do something. So I feel like it's different than being at community, because at community I just stay at school all day. But when I was at the 4 year, it was like, oh, okay, I can go back to my dorm or I can go to the library, just so many other different things.
Were you, Nayeli, and to kind of touch on that and to move on to the next question, were you in water polo when you were at the 4 year?
No, well, I was walking onto the team, not as a recruit, just walking onto the team, but then just like I ended up having to come back home. So yeah.
Okay. And that kind of moves me into my next question, right? Have you all been involved in organizations, in clubs and sports on campus? And, you know, does that help or hinder you being in class or you being in school?
No, not at all. It's like all around your schedule. It's what you need to do. Everyone's very understanding. Like, if you can't make one meeting, then okay, well, for this, in this case, we'll record it on Zoom and then we'll send it to you, or we'll have someone take notes and like send it over your way. It's not, everyone's very just understanding from what I found in like college. It's important to see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like everybody's very understanding around you, just because they, like Kevin said earlier, everybody's in the same boat, everybody's going through the same thing. So I feel like it's also very important to make connections with your classmates, and like, even like, yes, join clubs and everything, but your classmates are going through the same thing that you're going through, and it's a lot easier to go through something with somebody. You guys understand the problems that you guys have, because maybe sometimes like the professors or administration doesn't understand you, your classmates will, and you will be able to help each other, I guess, kind of, yeah.
I would also add that I was very involved when I was in undergraduate. So I was in a lot of different organizations on campus. And again, it goes back to time management, to be able to manage your time very well. And I think in some respects, being involved in these organizations provided an additional source of support that I needed when my family wasn't there. And so I was able to establish very strong bonds with people on campus, and that really spoke volumes. And even to this day, like it's been like over 10 years since I graduated from undergrad, but I still keep in touch with these people because they're a part of who I am in my life. And so I encourage people to get involved. And if you don't like an organization, you don't have to stay in that organization. You can try something else. It's not always going to work out the first time, and it might not be the right, group of people who you want to associate with. But just try it, test out the waters, and kind of see what you think works well for you. But definitely, don't I would say try to get involved as much as you can, because you never know what you're going to like and what's going to really empower you to keep going through school.
Good.
Can I add
Now,
one more thing?
yeah, no,
Sorry.
go ahead. Go ahead.
It's always important, when, like, what I've been told, like networking too, like joining these clubs, these organizations. It's all about networking. Like, well, who can help, who can you help, and who can help you in the future? Like when you need it, what doors can people open for you? What doors can you open for other people? So it's important to get to know people and get to know what you like in your field too.
Yeah, that's a great point. And you all kind of already touched on it a little bit, but obviously when you're in college, you're not all on the same schedule. If you're in one class with one person, it doesn't mean you're going to have them for all of your classes. You might not even ever see them again. So can you tell me a little bit about, how do you make friends in college? Do you just go up to people and say, hey, do you want to be my friend? Or how does that happen? If you can tell me a little bit about your experience with that.
I feel like sometimes like it's just easy just being in lecture, looking to your right, to your left, like, hi, is this your first time or something? I don't know, like I feel like I said earlier, you guys are all in the same boat, and it's just like, oh my god, do you understand what's going on? Like, no, I don't. Do you want to text each other? We could help each other. Just things like that. I feel like and what I've learned is that people in college are a lot easier to talk to, I think. I feel like people are more open to talking to you, more open to helping. I feel like sometimes in high school it was a little bit like, I don't want to share my answers with you. I don't want to help you. I'm helping myself. But I feel like in college, everybody's like, yeah, let's help each other, because it's just harder, I feel, kind of. And everybody just is nicer. I found, I don't know.
I guess I do. For me, I met a lot of people in the dorms. That's mostly how I met most people. Um, Usually, like for UCLA, there's like in the dorming, there's like a lounge, and basically it's just a bunch of tables and people go in there. They'll do different things, but a lot of times, especially like during study weeks, like they'll study, and then some people have some classes to get together, or the same class, or maybe they've taken that class to help you. Also clubs, talking to people with similar interests so you guys can help each other. That too.
Nice. All right. So my last question, right? And again, thank you so much for, participating in this Q&A, kind of giving us your insight and how things were for you. So my last question, and I'll let each of you answer this, is what's something that you wish somebody would have told you about college that you didn't get to hear until you actually experienced it yourself? So I'm gonna start off with Janet.
Uh, Something that I wish somebody would have told me was that in my opinion, I don't think success is made alone. It's important to hold on to your support system, and that could be on campus with your friends in college. It could be your counselors. It could be your family. And so it's a matter of just being able to hold on to all of your support system, because you're going to need everyone on board. So make sure you establish a circle of support, and that could be with your mentors, that could be with your role models. So when you're in college, I wish that I would have had that going in, that I needed to like really kind of develop that early on, because when I first started, I felt lost and I felt so overwhelmed. And so Yeah, that would be, I guess, my advice. And just pace yourself. This is not a race, it's a marathon. And once you're in it, you gotta keep going with the momentum. You're gonna have your highs and your lows, but just kind of keep on going.
Thank you. And we'll have Kevin go next.
Yeah. So, one thing is, it's like, relax. You could you're gonna have those days where like you're gonna want to sit down. The work's gonna be piled up, but you have time. If you work and do what you're supposed to, you have time. Don't push everything. Like, don't worry yourself too much, because that's not good for you. And then it's everything's gonna be okay. And then kind of just have fun with it. Like, you're here for 4 years or 2 years, whatever how long you're here. So just have fun with it. Don't need to be work, work, work all the time. You have more time than you expect.
All right, Nadia.
I feel like what Janet was saying, going at your own pace, the number one thing that I learned and I keep on reminding myself is definitely like um just to like it's okay not to know everything. Like in the beginning I had this perception that everyone at college like knew what they were doing, like they got it, like everyone seems like to know everything, and I was like the only one just pretending. Like I definitely had like imposter syndrome. And then I just realized, like with talking to people and like even today, like I talk to people and they're like, no, I'm still lost. I mean, and it's like that's the whole thing. That's the what college is about, like kind of like learning yourself, learning about yourself,
Mhm.
and not really like it's okay not knowing all the answers, but it's important to like look for the answers, not just like guess.
Yeah, that's good. Luis?
Um, I didn't. So one thing that I kind of found out from other students once I got to UCLA was that you're not always going to be successful in every class. Not every class is your expertise. Um, like you might get a C, you might fail the class. That different situations arise. They're just setbacks. You just have to keep going. Yeah.
Good, thank you. And then Nayeli.
One thing that I would say is I feel like it's important to be able to advocate for yourself, because I feel like it's easy to kind of just be pushed or like go like with the flow and stuff like that just because people are telling you what to do and stuff. But it's very important to know what you need yourself, what you want, and like what you have to do to get there. So if you need to talk to counselors, then talk to counselors. If you feel like you need tutoring, then go to tutoring. I feel like it's just very important to make sure you are doing what you need for yourself, because although like Janet was saying, it's important to have your support system and everything, it's also important to make sure you're doing what you need to do.
Yeah. Awesome. I could have not have asked for some better advice. It's simple, but it goes a long way. I think a lot of kids can be really intimidated by the thought of like, starting this new journey. But I think everything that you all said definitely hits on such important points. And again, I want to thank you all for participating in our virtual college resource fair, our first ever at the City of Commerce. But I really appreciate and love that in a sense we were able to do this, right? Because we have somebody again in Miami and Florida down the street, but we're all here on the screen. So thank you again so much for being able to do this with us.